Welcome to On Air with Russell of Hotels, where we talk about everything hospitality, from hotels to influencers and everything in between. We will feature guest interviews with hospitality professionals who will share their experiences. Your host, Russell Edmond, has spent over 25 years in the hospitality industry, beginning his career with Marriott International in hotel operations before moving into the sales arena and becoming a relationship building director of sales and marketing. Russell then went to the other side as a hospitality entrepreneur. He now consults in the hotel and meeting space, which includes being the CEO of Russell of Hotels Group. Did I mention he was a veggie foodie? Yes. Russell is always looking for good non-meat eats. Please welcome your host, Russell Edmond.
Hello, and thank you for joining On Air with Russell of Hotel Live Hospitality Talk Show. I hope all is well. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Tuesday. As we listen to the music just kind of go out on its own. But thank you so much for joining. It's show number 160, live from, well, as you can see the backdrop, well, maybe the people doing the podcast can't see the backdrop that says Hollywood. But we're live from LA for show number 160, but I have a Hollywood backdrop. So, you know, LA and Hollywood, they're together down the street from each other. So anyway, hope all is well. Once again, I did say that like 3 times already, but this is On Air with Russell of Hotels Live Hospitality Talk Show. We're live on YouTube right now. And then once this is over, just so you know, it does go on to LinkedIn as well. And this is a podcast, so it's available on every podcast platform, just On Air with Russell of Hotels, Live Hospitality Talk Show, and you'll find it there, right? So just if you want to just Google that, you can, and you'll find not just this show, but past shows as well. So thank you guys so much for joining. And I didn't queue up my, what am I trying to say? My comments. So I want to make sure that people can make comments, or they can make comments, make sure I can read the comments. So just so you know, this is a very interactive show. I do welcome people to kind of chime in and ask questions, make comments, as long as they're good comments, because I'm not going to read everything if they're not good comments. But at the very least, you're going to get a shout out, because you chimed in and said something like, "Hey, Russell, how you doing?" Or, I can hear you loud and clear, looking good, whatever you want to say, go ahead and say it, and I'll make sure if it's good and appropriate, I'll make sure I mention it on the show as well. So thank you so much. Today is Tuesday, May 24th. Connecting people in collaboration, hashtag Hospitality Unplugged. What does that mean? That means we talk about everything in hospitality. We talk about food. We talk about, non-meat eats, because I'm a non-meat eater, and I'll explain that a little later. We talk about hotels. We talk about tourism. We talk to influencers. We talk about everything. So the good, the bad, the ugly of the hospitality industry. And believe me, there's some, you may not believe it, but there's some things, some things in the background that, we wish they were in the background, but, I bring that stuff out. So, but it's all in good fun though. We're trying to make it as good, fun, interactive as possible. So, I guess that's it. I'm trying to think what the heck. I mean, that's not it for the show. I mean, that's it for all the small talk that I would that I would normally make. I'm trying to think. Last week, we had a guest last week. That's right, and I'll get to that later, because it's a lot more that comes along with that. Okay, I just can't say Paula C was on my show last week. Thank you. No, I can't do that. I have to. There's a whole thing that goes along with Paula C. Right. So, but we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But it's a nice day in LA. I want to say it's about in the 70s. It actually normally it's kind of like that June gloom. That's what they call it here in Southern California, where in June, it's primarily in the month of June, but obviously it happens in May as well, is that there's a cloud cover over the sun, right? So kind of marine layer, cloud cover, however you want to put it. And it looks gloomy, but then come about, noon, 1 o'clock, the sun comes out, the clouds go away, and the sun comes out, and it can be about 72, 73 degrees. I think it's about 70 right now, but the cloud cover came out sooner. So normally it doesn't come out to maybe about this time or 2 o'clock. But today it actually came out. I was out a little while ago, about 10, and it was out already. So that's kind of rare. So no June gloom today, but it's just another beautiful day. So that's why I wanted to say put the backdrop of Hollywood in the background, because it's so clear, and I can probably see the Hollywood sign from where I live. So there you go. So that's what that's all about. Let's see. Let's just jump. You know what? Let's just jump into it because we got a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into it. Industry stuff. Okay, and this used to be industry news, but now it's just stuff, right? In 2020 alone, the travel and tourism industry lost $4.5 trillion in GDP, that's gross domestic product, and about 62 million jobs. Can you believe that? I saw that, when I saw that statistic, I said, I got to share that because that's kind of astounding. That, I mean, yeah, we know that a lot was lost, but to actually see it in written form, I'm like, wow, that's huge. So I was reading, I got this information from, I don't just pull this out. I mean, I get this information from somewhere, right? And I can't remember the publication right now, but I do remember that Tony Capuano, who is the CEO of Marriott International, he made some comments, right? So of course, to me, Marriott is like whatever Marriott says, everyone else falls into place, right? So that's the end all be all as far as I'm concerned, right? I started my career with Marriott, and I always reference anything they say, it's got to be at the forefront. So there's a quote, and then there's kind of a little bit about what he said in this particular article. It says, the way we live and work has changed because of the pandemic, and the way we travel has changed as well. So this was obviously a question about, is travel coming back and things like that. So of course travel's coming back, right? So that's what he said. That was a quote. The way we live and work has changed because of the pandemic, and the way we travel has changed as well. So, and then he goes on to say, despite the challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic, the future looks bright for travel and tourism. Across the globe, people are already getting back on the road. Demand for travel is incredibly resilient, and as vaccination rates have risen and restrictions eased, travel has rebounded quickly, often led by leisure. Now, let me dissect this, okay? We're going to continue on in this paragraph, on this sentence or the statement that he made. But if you guys watch me or follow me on my show and hear what I say, and even in the postings, I've been saying that, and it's no, I don't have to be a genius to figure this out, but a lot of people didn't realize this. They're looking for other things to come back, other market segments to come back, i.e. that business traveler market. I said, yeah, eventually that will come back, but what comes back first? Leisure, because they're not restricted by companies and organizations, right? People travel on their own free will, okay? At a whim, people can travel. So, of course, leisure would come back first, okay? And I've been saying that. Leisure transient, leisure groups, all that stuff will come back well before the business traveler and all that stuff. So I just want to make sure I point out that, I've been saying this. I've been saying this for a while, right? So now people are getting it, right? So even the CEO of Marriott, okay? So I said it. Yeah, I did say that. So, okay, this is the next paragraph. The way many of us live and work has changed because of the pandemic. And the way we travel has changed as well. New categories of travel have emerged. The rise of bleisure travel is one example. Bleisure travel. Have I not been talking about bleisure travel? Now, let me back up again. Bleisure travel was a term that was used probably 2 or 3 years before the pandemic. So it may be highlighted now because of the pandemic, but don't think this is one of these words or one of these markets that came out because of the pandemic. No, this came out before that. I'm going to say 2 to 3 years before that, I was using the term bleisure travel. Okay. In fact, I put out it was a quote. I do these quotes every now and then, and bleisure travel was one of these things that I put out not too long ago. So I don't know why I just have to make sure you guys know that some of this stuff came. some of this stuff came from, I've been talking about this stuff as well. So the rise of bleisure travel is one example. Now, bleisure is a mixture of business and leisure. Okay, and I'll give you my definition on that in a couple of minutes as soon as I finish this. The rise of bleisure travel is one example, combining elements of business and leisure travel into a single trip. Newly flexible work arrangements, including the opportunity for many knowledge workers to work remotely, have created opportunities for extended travel, not limited by Monday to Friday 9-to-5 work week in the office. So meaning, everyone is not working that typical 9-to-5 anymore, because people are not everyone is in the office. People still have the option to either work from home or to, work in the office. And that is not across the board where everyone has to come back to work. It's not across the board where everybody can stay at home. So it's kind of a mixture of that. So with that being said, that's where this bleisure market now is taking the forefront, because people may go out of town for, I would say this, the people that are in the office, they're going out of town for business, right? But they're extending their trips because of, maybe they want to stay the weekend or whatever. So once they do that, now they become the bleisure. They become a bleisure traveler, not just a leisure or business traveler. It's bleisure. So it's a mixture of the two. Now, my definition of that was the practice of extending business travel for leisure purposes, or otherwise combining work and leisure during a business trip. That's my definition of what bleisure travel is. But there you go. So that's what Mr. Capuano said. He's the CEO of Marriott International. So I thought I would share that with you because it was interesting stuff, and it's industry stuff. And I want to say good afternoon to Mr. Craig Giangrosso. Thank you so much for joining here. I see hey, so I'm like hey back to you. So like I said, we're very interactive, and people want to say hey. Craig's out there in Texas. He's out there in Seabrook, Texas. So I always want to give him a quick shout out when he comes on. So let's continue on. But yeah, I just want to make sure you guys knew what that was. So of course I'm always going to mention that stuff. So as far as you guys know that I have sponsorship, Agua Resort Nicaragua. I just want to, just kind of show that resort. I have to make it there. My goal is to make it there by the end of the year. I actually have a group that wants to commit to go there. Not that they're waiting for me to go and give them the red flag. I mean, give them the flag, wave the flag and say, hey, it's time to come there or whatever. But I do want to go check it out by the end of the year, just so I can, because the group is not until next November of 23. But of course, I want to check it out before they even sign on the dotted line, if you will. So anyway, so that's one of our sponsors. Just want to let you know. Any questions about that, you can always hit me up. Russell@russellofhotel.com is my email address, and we can talk more about it. But quick thank you to Paula C. She's with Ask Suite. She was my guest last week. Ask Suite Hotel Chatbot, and we talked about what a hotel chatbot was. So if you didn't listen or didn't see my show last week or listen to it, make sure you go back and take a listen, because especially if you're a hotel person and you're in charge of like reservations, or maybe that's part of your responsibility. But we talked about, I asked her questions about, Booking Direct. What is a hotel chatbot? How can it benefit your hotel? Why should hotels utilize Ask Suite? And I asked, of course, I've always asked people what their background is. She tells me how she got into Ask Suite, how she got to doing content creation for Ask Suite, how has social media changed, her business model, or Ask Suite's business model. Because I found her on LinkedIn, right? So that's, social media, right? So, she's making a lot more connections that she was probably able to before, because of social media, specifically LinkedIn. So those are things that are important. Used correctly, those tools are powerful. Those platforms are great. LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever these platforms are that you choose to use, they are very powerful if they are used correctly. So like I said, most of my contacts these days come because of, my involvement on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. So it works. If you use it right, use it for good, use it for business, it does work. Now, that other stuff you guys use it for, okay, do whatever you do. But, when I'm speaking specifically business is, I think it's fire when you use it correctly. And how can hotels increase their direct bookings using a hotel chatbot? She answered all those questions. And what is a buyer persona? A lot of people don't even know. A lot of people in marketing don't even know what a buyer persona is, right? So she went in and explained that as well. Basically a group of people with similar interests or whatever, kind of like a, demographic 2.0, if you will, right? So, we always look at, what are the demographics or what demographics are you trying to get? Well, it's, heighten that by like 100, okay? And that's what you're getting a persona of an actual, not a person, but a group of people that share the same kind of thing, same interests, maybe same buying patterns, all that kind of thing that you can actually find this stuff out. So you can drill down as much as you want and you'll find these personas, right? So she kind of went into detail of how they use personas and things like that. So very interesting. Check it out, especially like I said, if you're a hotel person and you're kind of responsible for, or maybe some of the things you're responsible for are increasing reservations or increasing revenue because of reservations. Okay, so check that out. So I also want to give a quick shout out. And these two gentlemen that I'm about to mention, they also actually work for Ask Suite. That's a tough word to say, ask. Excuse me one second. I had to take a drink of water. But Ms. Paula C is with Ask Suite. She's a content creator. Murillo Reese, he's a digital specialist with Ask Suite as well. And then David Burney, he's a VP of sales and partnerships for Ask Suite. Now, the reason why I mentioned those two gentlemen, at the end of the show with Paula last week, I said I would love to see how this thing works. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to actually get a demonstration, if you will. So they actually set up Mr. Murillo. He set up the demonstration, and then Mr. David Byrne. And I hopefully I'm saying this right. It's Byrne or Bernie. I'm saying Bernie. Okay. I spoke to him yesterday, but I don't remember, him saying what his last name was. But I knew what his spelling was because I kind of followed him on LinkedIn anyway. So, but anyway, he's VP of sales and partnerships with Ask Suite. So he actually did the demonstration for me yesterday and kind of showed me how it worked. Now I kind of understand exactly what they do. I mean, I think I kind of understood it anyway, but just to see it, like I said, the demo and how you can ask questions of the chat bot and how the chat bot knows based on your questions that you're asking and knows how to answer those questions. So basically a chat bot is artificial intelligence. You guys are familiar with that, IA, where it's not a live person, but this bot, it can carry on a conversation or at least answered frequently asked questions. You ever see that it says FAQ? That stands for frequently asked questions. And it can eliminate your hotel staff from having to ask these questions. So if I'm on your website and I want to make a reservation, it gives you options. You want to make reservations, you want to ask questions for the front desk or menus or whatever. It'll have all these things listed, all these services kind of listed. Let's just say reservations. So you want to make a reservation and it'll answer your questions based on that. And if these are frequently asked questions, of course. So it will answer those questions for you. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of lit. I may say that, if I may say so myself. So it's definitely something to take a look at if you're a hotel and you do not have that capability on your reservation system, because you may, and in fact, they give you numbers that they will increase your reservation numbers. You won't have, how people call in and then they hang up. And a lot of, reservations, you get charged anyway if they don't make a reservation. Well, the conversion rate is a lot greater with Ask Suite, okay? And they give you the numbers. They show you the numbers. So it makes no sense not to at least hear them out. So if you're interested in that, and I asked him, I said, your clients, are they primarily like you know, five diamond hotels or luxury hotels? And he said, we get, various, among the gamut. It runs the gamut, but he said the majority of the hotels are your higher end luxury hotels that actually would use this. But I didn't ask what the price was because I'm not a hotel, but I would think it's probably worth it, even no matter what type of hotel you are. Maybe not, an economy, because depending on the cost, it just may not be worth it. But if you're middle of the road to a, luxury brand hotel, like I said, I think it would behoove you to at least listen to the conversation or have the conversation with them. So, not that I'm trying to sell Ass Sweet, but she was on my show last week, so of course I got to give her a shout out and shout out the company too, and shout out the people that gave me the demonstration. So thank you so much, Paula C, for being on the show. Maria Reese for introducing me to Mr. David Burney, and then for Mr. David Burney to be on the show, and not be on the show, but to give me the demonstration yesterday. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Moving forward, there's three things that I always mention. Be intentional, make decisions, and take action on what's important to you or what's important to me. These are things that I came up with, but you can personalize them if you want. You can, instead of saying for me, you can say you can be for you, right? So number one, like I said, be intentional. Number two, be you. You know how they say be authentic, don't be fake. That's, hopefully I'm not trying to be fake on here, right? So be you, be yourself. I'm not trying to be anyone else. There's other people that have podcasts and hospitality talk shows, but I'm not trying to be them, and I'm sure they're not trying to be me. Okay, so just stick to who you are, because that's a hard enough job just being you. Okay. And number three, be represented, because my representation, it matters. Okay, it matters to me that people see people that look like me that can do these shows, that do the shows, and because people always wonder, like, how can I do this? Oh, I can never do that. No, you can do. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, I don't care who you are, what you look like. You can do the show. You can do a show like this. If you're on the fence about doing it, doing a show like this, or you just want to do lives on whatever, Instagram or YouTube, but you know what? Just start doing them. Just bite the bullet and go. If you have questions at all regarding that, I always throw my email out there. People can always give me a call or email me at Russell at russellofhotels.com. My website is russellofhotels.com, and I have my phone number on there. I have email on there as well. So if you didn't hear that, russellofhotels.com is my email. Is my website address, and you can always find all my contact information on there. So there's no secrets here. If you have questions about anything, I'm here to address those questions. I'm here to assist. That's what I do. So, but those are the three things. Be intentional, be you, be represented. And moving right in, segue into Miss Davon Reeves of, how to buy a hotel. Now, how many people have you heard are just basically out there, young people, okay, young women, 35 years old, buying hotels left and right. This young lady has 3 hotels, right? 3 hotels in 2 states that she has purchased and looking to buy more. Not only is she looking to buy more, she's encouraging people to buy hotels. And people always said, I'm sure she got this question all the time. Well, how do I buy a hotel? Well, she took it a little step further. She wrote a book on how to buy a hotel. Okay, so it's available wherever you buy your favorite books. So just Google Davon Reeves or Google how to buy a hotel by Davon Reeves, a roadmap to hotel ownership, a roadmap to hotel ownership. And she gives these tips. She gave these tips a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to share these tips. What are and I'm sure she's been asked this question many times. Can you give me some tips on buying a hotel? Okay, I'll give you 3. Location. Okay, don't just buy a hotel anywhere. Make sure the location is a good location. What's a good location? Well, one, are there traffic generators around it? What is a traffic generator? Well, that's like amusement parks, maybe a ball field or ballpark, maybe a business center. Maybe it's near the airport. I mean, what's around there? Is it easy to get there? Is it easy access on and off a highway? Those are, like I said, is it near a mall? Any shopping? Anything like that. Concert venue, is it next to those? So that's when you mention location, location, location. Are there traffic generators around there? Are there any reasons why people are coming to that particular area? Okay, so that's one. That's a start. Number two, the brand. Now there's independent hotels that will pop up everywhere as well, but their journey is a lot greater because now they have to make sure people in that area know that brand, right? It's not a household brand. If I threw out, the Russell Hotel, well, unless you follow me on this show, you don't know what the Russell of Hotels is or what it stands for or anything like that. So if it was a Russell Hotel and then there was a Marriott brand next to it, well, which one would you go to? Unless the Marriott was sold out, then you would have no choice but to go to me. But because of name recognition, that brand, a Hilton brand, a Marriott brand, a Hyatt brand, a Holiday Inn brand, those brands over the Russell brand, right? I mean, it's just it. I mean, it's common sense, right? So the brand does it does hold a lot of weight, and especially when it comes to the reservation system. Marriott system and the Holodex or Holiday Inn system is probably one of the greatest in the world. So, you want to make sure you have a strong reservation system as well. And then number three, hiring the right operator. Do you want to operate the hotel yourself? I mean, you can. It's your hotel, you can. But a lot of hotel people, a lot of owners don't operate the hotels themselves. They hire a management company, a third-party management company. And their job is to do all the hiring and the ordering and operating the hotel, to your specifics, right? And you meet with them monthly, and you go over your P&L statements and all that kind of stuff and make sure, it's profitable. So first of all, you want to make sure, do your research and make sure the operator that you're hiring or the management company, they have a track record of operating successful hotels. And they have to tell you that. They have to show you. And if you don't ask that question, well, shame on you. So, they have to open up their book, say, hey, we manage these 3 hotels, and these 3 hotels are profitable. And let me show you each one of their profit and loss statements and whatever. So those are 3 things. Those are 3 buying tips, or 3 tips to buying a hotel from Miss Davon Reeves. I just, she gets the information. I just get it, and I just share it with you guys, okay? So if you're interested in buying a hotel or knowing how to buy a hotel, I just think this stuff is interesting, right? I may not be interested in doing that, but there's people that come in and out of your life or come in and out of my life all the time, and they know because I'm affiliated with hotels or have been affiliated with hotels that they'll ask me questions that sometimes they ask me questions I'm not even ready for. Like, hey, how do you buy a hotel? Well, I was taught how to manage a hotel, how to run a hotel. Now, as far as owning a hotel, that's a little different. It is. It's a little different. I mean, I know P&Ls. I know what it takes to run and operate a hotel. But, as far as owning one, I did not know how to own a hotel. I worked with owners or worked for management companies. Not one of them said, hey, you ever thought about owning a hotel? Well, these are the steps to do it. No one's ever done that. But this is the first time I've seen anybody come up with a book on how to buy a hotel. Okay. And not just that, but offer webinars to support this book. So it's not like she's just throwing this book out there for the world to see, and I'm not going to offer you any support or anything like that. No, she's taking it a step further. She does webinars on a constant basis. So she's not hiding, because some people will think, well, anybody can come out with a book. Yeah, anybody can come out with a book, but there's another thing for someone to support that book, to offer webinars and education behind the words of the book. So I salute you, Ms. Davon Reeves. So thank you so much. And she didn't ask me, you know what? She didn't ask me to say any of this stuff. I'm just, because I think it's important that people know how to do it. If you're interested in doing it, that's how you do it. So there you go. Who's your best advocate? So I asked someone, I think I asked Paula C. I said, who's your best advocate? And I think it's me. I said, you're right. And you passed the test. So, yeah, your biggest advocate is you, right? It all starts with you. You can't get people to get, motivated about your brand or excited or in a frenzy about your brand if you're not motivated, right? If you're not excited about your brand. So if I'm not excited about Russell of Hotels brand, then who will be? Who will be? I mean, that's the whole thing, how people get started in starting their brand, right? They have to show that excitement. They have to show that enthusiasm. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. Okay, so there you go. So you are your best advocate. That sounds so corny and cheesy, huh? Right? But it's not. It's the truth. That's it. So, like I said, you rah yourself, your brand, and people will follow you as long as you stay consistent to you being your best brand advocate. Okay, so you are it. So don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not, because you are. How do you increase your social media engagement? I ask this not every week because when I have guests, I can't get to all these things. But today, how do you increase your social media engagement? Because people need to know that, right? Well, consistency is one thing, right? It starts with that. It starts with not posting one thing and thinking, oh, that's it. All I got to do is post one thing and everything's going to fall into place and, the stars are going to come out and the sun is going to start shining. No, that's not how it works, right? You post consistently. You have to post consistent, good content, okay, that people learn from or it's touching someone or, it resonates with someone. You just can't throw out some content and think the world is going to see it and embrace it and like it and love it and engage with it. That's not how it works, right? So, in fact, Paula C., she had mentioned several weeks ago. In fact, she did a live about this, a live on Instagram. She basically posted something, and she said she got like 2 likes. Okay, and I said, well, then she was asking the question, well, should she delete it and start over? And she didn't ask me. I think later on, I had a conversation with her, and I said, no, I definitely would not delete it. It's just basically you just learn from it and continue to move on. Obviously, you didn't do something right. Maybe the message wasn't clear. I think she did a reel. Maybe the music wasn't right for that particular video because a reel, Instagram reel, pairs the video with music, right? And more than likely, people, if it's trending music, people will listen to it. They'll click on it because they see the music or they see that, okay, this is that song. Click, I love that song. Let me hear that. And they'll look at the video too because it's attached to it, right? So, so there can be a myriad of things that was wrong with that particular posting. But I said, just continue to do it, and it'll get better because I can do postings and get thousands of people to look and to comment and to engage. But then the next one, I can get 50. I'm like, well, why did I get 50 when I got 2,000? Just the post wasn't even yesterday; it was less than 24 hours ago, and I posted something and I got like 50. The next day. I mean, it happened. So what does that do? Does that discouragement? No, I just continue to keep posting, and I want to make sure that it's hitting the right people. And the next thing is value. Make sure it's adding some type of value to someone, right? Consistency is the key, is the first thing. Number 2 is value. What value is it adding for your audience? Do you even have the right audience? Let's talk about that. I mean, are you reaching the right people for your particular, your Instagram platform, whatever you're trying to do? I mean, I'm all about hotels, travel, and non-meat eats. But if I start putting stuff about construction and medical, then you'll be like, well, wait a minute. What is he doing now? He's a doctor? You're talking about construction? Who's getting dirty? You got a hard hat on now? Now that's brand confusion, right? So, I didn't went from hotels, hospitality, non-meat eats to now I'm doing something totally different, right? So you have to be consistent with what you're doing. You have to add value. You can't just go off and start doing anything, right? So you have to check yourself, right? Exactly who you're trying to reach, what's your brand about, what's the message you're trying to put out? Okay. But consistency, value, and then authentic. That authentic, be real thing, it comes up again. Authentic is just being real, being yourself. Don't be fake. Okay. And I just mentioned that a while ago. So make sure you're your authentic self. You have to make sure that you're real because people will see through the BS. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. So once you know those three things, what do you use? What tools are there to use in order to, to be consistent, to add value? And what was that other thing? I can't remember what the other thing was, right? To be consistent and to be authentic. What are those things? Well, you can use, there's two things that you can use. And I mentioned one of them. IG Reels is one of them where policy, like I said, she used this and she wasn't getting the responses she wanted or needed, but continue to do it. Don't delete your postings. Just do another posting later. Use IG Reels, and like I said, IG Reels it pairs video with music content. Okay, and you can choose the music that you want. It'll let you choose, and I mean it's only going to be 15 seconds or whatever the length of your video is, and try to keep your videos like under 30 seconds if you can, right? Because people's time, their time frame or their attention span is like that, okay? So it's like a gnat. Most attention spans are like gnats. You know how gnats go from place to place, right? That's how people's minds work. So if you can keep it under 30 seconds, maybe sometimes even less than that, because what they say is it needs to grab someone's attention. Whatever you're posting needs to grab someone's attention in 3 seconds. If you can grab them in 3 seconds, they're going to hold on and they're going to continue to listen or watch. If you can't grab their attention, that's it. You're like, what happened? Doesn't matter if it's 15 seconds or a minute. They're not going to listen to it. They're not going to watch it. So make sure you do that and use IG Reels. You can use IG Reels. You can use TikTok if that's what you want to do. Not Instagram. What is it called? YouTube Shorts. Those are kind of the same thing, where you can pair music and things like that. Oh no, I'm talking about the lives. Okay, you can do lives on YouTube. You can do TikTok lives. You do Instagram lives. You can do Facebook lives as well. But IG Reels, the similarity IG Reels is YouTube Shorts and TikTok, and then there's you can do what do you call it, Facebook lives as well. So those are the things that you can compare with or the competition for an IG reel. So check those out. And because what I do is I do the show, but I do this show. It's called On Air Russell Hotels, just in case you didn't know what you're listening to right now. I do this every Tuesday, but I also do postings throughout the week, right? So I'm posting something at least maybe twice a day, and that includes Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so I'm posting all the time. Then I'm throwing in some lives in there, okay, and then the show again. So there's 3 different things that I do that support each thing. The show, then the lives, then the reels. They all support each other, right? So it's like this vicious circle of doing all these things. So people now they know who Russell of Hotels is, because if I only relied on doing this show, people would know me. But doing the lives and the reels and all that other stuff supports what I do on the show, because I always mention that you can, join me on Tuesdays at 1:00 for On Air with Russell of Hotels, right? So if they don't get enough from the reels and the lives, maybe they'll tune into the show, right? So I'm going to make sure that goes back to that being your best brand advocate. You have to make sure that you're reinforcing what you do. All the things that you do, you're going to make sure you reinforce it with each one of those different types of, reels, lives, and a show, and postings, and just general postings. Okay, so you have to support all those things. Who's hiring? Now there's like, hold on one second. There's like I saw like a lot of jobs today. Who's hiring? Not a lot, but about I got about close to 10, right? The Shea Hotel, Culver City. They're looking for an events manager. And these are in the Los Angeles area for the most part. I think they all are in the greater LA area because I happen to be in LA. That's why I do that. But every now and then, if I look at some of the LA postings, they'll throw in some things from other states because they're trying to get LA people to go out of the state. But I guess all the best talent is here in LA. I'm just saying that just came to me. But so these are in the various parts of LA County. They can be in the South Bay. They can be in Orange County. They can be in Hollywood. They can be anywhere, but greater LA area. So Shade Hotel, Manhattan Beach. They're looking for an events sales manager. Shade Hotel, that's one of those lifestyle hotels. Disney Parks, that's in Anaheim. They're looking for a director of rooms. Disney Parks is the makeup of all. I think there's 3 different major hotels that are Disney-owned hotels.